to keep it all inside. It ricocheted, it's ceaseless. Though my organs are tough, I dial my machinist, and he arrives with the part I've never even heard of. He says it's new, fancy tech, and starts to make the first cut. And who am I if not dying all the time? And who are you if not diamonds on the vine? Could you hold my heart this time? Will you hold my heart this time? Will you hold my heart this time? Will you hold my heart? As I'm watching the dirt pile on the gravestone, I have only one thought: what I could have done better. So when you reach the gold mine, could you pull out a pen and paper, write me a letter, and burn it in the wind? Now I can hear your heart in mine. I can hear your heart in mine. I can hear your heart in mine. I can hear your heart. Now I can hear your heart in mine. I can hear your heart in mine. I can hear your heart in mine. I can hear your heart. Now I can hear your heart in mine. I can hear your heart in mine. I can hear your heart in mine. I can hear your heart. I am only a man living in the darkness, with my heart skipping beats.
All right. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful, transformative, awakening, chaotic, uncertain world of ours. This is Metaphysical Meetup with Marc live here on the Intuitive Prospector page. I hope you are having a wonderful Friday. And we like to say Friday versus Friday. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your protein shake, grab whatever brings you comfort and relaxation. For today, we're going to talk about religion and spiritualism and the difference between the two of them. So I was doing my meditation before I came on, and for those of you that follow the journey here on the Intuitive Prospector page, it was just like, just what is the difference between the two? And so I thought I would just do a kind of a, I don't know, maybe just an example of the difference between the two, because I've lived both. The first half of my life, I was brought up in a very religious type of environment, and filled with dogma, filled with fear, filled with control. Be honest, it at times scared the shit out of you, right? Just based on, you're going to go to hell and burn if you're not a good person. So I want to talk about more about deism. It's more simply, deism is stated as the belief in the existence of God, often but not necessarily God who does not intervene in the universe after creating it. It's solely based on rational thought without any reliance on revealed religious or religious authority. And so that's really what deism is, and that's something that I um, came to after my experiences years ago with the loss of my brothers, all within the same week, one to murder, one to brain cancer, my father-in-law at that same time to multiple sclerosis. And that kind of changed how I saw the world, the perception of the world. And it really started to have me begin and create the intuitive prospector years ago now, over a decade ago, to not only be in service to help others, but to go into this world because there's just so many mysteries. There's so many unknowns. We as humans, we were talking about this in my group on Wednesday. We believe that we know everything as humans because that's just human nature. Very, that's the ego, that's the confidence, that's the arrogance, if you will. Just like a lot of people think we're alone in this universe or on this planet. Obviously, you can tell by the T-shirt I'm wearing from last week's UFO festival that we went down to in McMinnville, Oregon. Um, your beliefs can start to change based on your own experiences, right? And for me, it became with all of the severe trauma and grief that literally broke me. It got me searching for new information, I guess, not only just information about myself, but the information around the world, in the world around us, because I learned just because we don't see it here doesn't mean that we don't see it here, and it doesn't mean that it's not around or available. And so that's where I started to create the intuitive, because I believe everybody is intuitive and everybody can use their intuition to go after the things that they want to learn about and what they're drawn to, if you will. For me, it was the mysteries. It was death. It was life after death. And I started to see myself leaving a religious type of format that religion has created a lot of controversies over the years. There are good things about religion, but it also has caused a lot of wars and has taken a lot of lives from, here in the United States to around the world. And so I really didn't want to continue to go down that road. So I started moving into deism, which is the belief in something other than ourselves, something bigger, something to our consciousness, something that's based on love. I do believe in certain prophets in history that came that were more enlightened, that were more connected, more consciousness, had abilities to do things that other people hadn't necessarily tuned in, like Muhammad, like Buddha, like Jesus. And so that really kind of changed how I started to see the world, because I realized as well that not with just because you don't see it, it's not there. The microscope told us differently. The telescope told us differently. The James Webb telescope that's a million miles out in space is literally by the day telling us things that we thought we knew, but we were way off. Even just the age of the galaxy and the universe, we were off by billions of years. And this is based on mathematics, right? Looking back at the start of the universe. And as we know it today with science, as far as proven science, and I think there's a reason that you see a lot of people that are divided on, the earth is round, the earth is flat, we went to the moon, we didn't go to the moon. Social media has created a great opportunity to create divide. And I think these things are happening in society and within consciousness, because at some point there's going to be this tipping point that we realize that we're not alone, that there are other beings in the universe. And I personally believe, from my own personal experiences as an experiencer in my days of the U.S. Coast Guard, that they're already here in our oceans, deep down in the earth. There's places we just can't go with the technology. And as of today, we only know about 7 to 15%, depending on which study you look at, of the actual ocean, because the planet is covered in 70% of water, right? And so for me, that really just started opening a lot of questions, and somebody called the spiritual awakening, if you will, and the shaking that causes the awakening, which I didn't plan to do this. I didn't plan to move down into the road of mediumship or psychic or spiritualism or healing, but I just kept being drawn to it, pulled to it almost, even just kicking and screaming, like kind of like think of it like a tractor beam in Star Trek, and they're like beaming you up, Scotty, and you're fighting the whole time. You're like, oh hell no, oh hell no. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference, and what deism is, um, and what the difference is between religion and spirituality. And then you decide, where you're at on your own journey. Maybe you're just having the spiritual awakening and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be great. And it's not. It's actually pretty tough for transformation, for ascension, to change from the caterpillar through the butterfly, through the metamorphosis of the cocoon phase, if you will. I'm even still going through it right now. I'm 6 weeks post-op of my major life-changing back surgery. And again, thank you for all of the love and the comments, and I've received cards in the mail and people reaching out to me. So thank you. I'm almost 30 pounds down, so surgery is great for weight loss, I guess. Um, but I'm getting ready to go on 10 days of holiday just to continue the healing process and the Mexican sun, and just be around with people that I know and love, and really just continue to journey on spiritualism versus religion. And like I said, I've learned over the years through many conversations, through many podcasts, from writing my first book. If you want to get my first book, it's called Between Worlds Reflections. I reflect on that journey. It's the first book that I've contributed to as a author, as a writer. It's my first published book, but I do working on my second book, and I do have a lot of articles that I write for different places, from Om Times to Ariel Spiritual Community to even here locally, West Side Seattle. Write different articles, but I haven't done a lot of writing because I've been off grid and recovering from this major life changing spinal surgery that I had to have for my low back, which I'm feeling much better, much lighter, and I'm ready for a new direction in the second half of my life. But it gives me a lot of time to study, it gives me a lot of time to read lots of different books. I get books every few weeks for the radio show, Inspired Living, and just learning and just trying to get off social media from time to time, because social media is just shit these days. And I really try to create my platforms for positivity, whether it's here on Facebook Live, whether it's my Instagram community channel, whether it's my YouTube channel, TikTok Live. So it's really just trying to bring inspiration and hope and guidance and knowledge and education, and then just lay it out like I always tell you. It's like a smorgasbord. It's like a buffet. You can pick and choose what you like, but you don't argue with the buffet, right? You don't yell at the fried greens because you don't like them, but they're being presented, right? So I try to keep everything civil. We don't get into politics and religion. You got to be very careful. And I'm just going to talk about this morning about the difference between spiritualism and religion, but not be a critic or a pundit to or for against religion. I was raised in Catholicism. Some would argue that that's has its skeletons in its own closet, which it does. It's paid out more money in the billions compared to other religions based on their activity. But that's not what this conversation is about. This is just to talk about the difference between religion and spiritual. And maybe you find yourself on the awakening that's just happening and you're not sure what's going on, or maybe you've been in the spiritual awakening for a long time, or maybe you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. Because when your eyes are opened, or when you're unplugged from the matrix, or when you do go down that path, it's not something you get to plug back into. It's not something that you just get to go back to sleep, and it can be very difficult for some of you. And so I hope today's conversation will help with that journey. And just a reminder, if you want to learn or work with me, I'm going to be off for a couple weeks for vacation, but you can always go right here to marklainhart.com. You can do an internet search for the Intuitive Prospector. You can type in my name. I'll pull up and pretty much any internet search. And that's because of my podcast show, Inspired Living, which is now, and thank you to the listeners. You've all made the show a best inspirational and now best spiritual podcast to listen to. And that's according to FeedSpot, that does a lot of the podcast ratings and downloads and rankings and all of that kind of thing. And so we're now in 2 categories, which is really awesome. And we had a great show last week with gentlemen talking about scalar energy, which is the same energy as your auric field. And we had a great conversation, the tools that he was using, and the advancement of technology that's going to continue to open up our eyes to what we think we know, but yet what we don't yet know, right? So good morning to some of you. I'll give you some shout outs. Good morning to my team. I do have a team of moderators that do monitor the comments. So we ask politely, respectfully, respect people's comments. We don't want to create social media where people are getting in arguments with one another. If you come into the community page on these live Fridays and you start promoting your own stuff, or to come to your page, you're going to automatically get, one, you're going to get blocked and deleted from the community page, not able to come back. And 2, it's very rude because it's like a spam call coming into your cell phone. And I get a lot of spam calls these days. So don't be the spammer, don't be the troll, don't be the clickbaiter, don't be the bot trying to come in here to pull people in. And just for the followers of the page, I don't ever reach out to you to do a free reading or to give you this advice. You're here from free will and choice every Friday on the Intuitive Prospector page. So the difference between religion and spiritualism, and just like I said, thank you to my moderators, and thank you for the top fans and the star senders and the Diamond Hub subscribers. it is. It's a really fascinating journey, and I want to share something with you real quick. So let me see if I can do this here. I still have it up. Okay, so let's try this. I don't know if this may come up, so let's try this. Let me turn my camera off. Share. Yeah, I pulled up the old. Stop sharing that, and let's open up this. Zoom. Nope, did not want to do that. All right, let's try this one more time. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. So what I wanted to show you was just always remember you can't have, let's see if it comes up here. There it goes. You can't have all of those abilities, and I'm using the reference from the movie Matrix, right? So many of you have seen Matrix. When I first saw it, I walked out going, "What the heck did I just watch?" Right? It's kind of like one of those moments where Pulp Fiction, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Fight Club, movies that make you think, right? Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be able to stop bullets or actually see the Matrix with your eyes or fly, but who knows, right? It's an interesting journey, but you have to first go through that being unplugged, unconditioned, unlearning a lot of things that you have learned, a lot of the things that you have been force fed to have, right? And whether it's a learned behavior, whether it's a religious behavior, it really just depends on your upbringing, right? And as we get into the conversation today about religion versus spirituality and the difference between the two, just remember a lot of times ascension and transformation and awakening is not an easy thing to go through. This reminds me of the days when I was told that my brother had been murdered, and then 3 days later my older brother would be diagnosed with terminal brain cancer and leave this planet and leave his family and his 3 daughters and son behind and his wife. And it was very like looking around like, why is this happening to me? And then I'm looking around, other people are just going about their journey and going about their day. And so that is something to just kind of give you that reference of you're maybe having this awakening, or you're having this just and it can, maybe you were born with it, right? Maybe if you were always a sensitive, always an empath, and always just very drained with your energy, and just learning about to know thyself, right? That is the human journey. Life is learn it from experiences to know thyself. Lao Tzu reminds us, if I let go of who I am, I become who I might be. And I know Dr. Maya Angelou talked about the one of the most difficult things about this journey is to understand who you truly are in this journey. And so I love that saying from, if I let go of who I am, I become who I might be. And that's literally still taking place to this day. So one of the things that is the difference between religion and spiritualism. And again, I'm a spiritualist now. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual in nature. And that's my journey. That's my path. That's my choice and free will. I know that there are other people that have no belief in anything, that once we die, they go into the ground and that's it. That's called atheism. I was, for many years, after I was transforming from the religious indoctrination and really moving away from religion into my spiritual, I became more agnostic. I wanted proof of what I was experiencing, the death, the trauma, the grief that literally broke me. My experiences with, flying saucers off the coast of Puerto Rico years ago in my Coast Guard days as an experiencer. So there was a very, I started to have all these spiritual experiences. I had a near-death experience in a river accident on the Yakima River. I had an OBE, which is an out-of-body experience. And then I started to become aware as a medium of connecting to something that I wasn't seeing here. And that was very disturbing to my status quo. That was very disturbing to my upbringing, to my religious beliefs. And so when we get into the journey of religion versus spiritualism, religion is it worships a God that's somewhere out here. Now, I don't have the book with me. I'm actually taking it to Mexico with me. It's called The Lost Years of Jesus, because there's, in scripture, if you know the Bible, and I know the Bible. I was confirmed in the Catholic Church. You had to go to Sunday school. You had to learn the Bible. So I know scripture, but I was always fascinated and wondered, why did we not learn about Jesus until his, we'd heard briefly in the Old Testament about him through John the Baptist, but we didn't understand anything really about him before the age of 33. And at that time, at 33, you're kind of considered an old man. You're starting to get into your 40s, and on average, people live maybe to their 70s if they were lucky, but their calendar years were different too. So the 365 days, there was a difference based on that. But there's a book called The Lost Years of Jesus that I'm going to read, because it was all about, well, what did he do up to we started, learning about him in the New Testament. I don't have the book on my shelf here, I don't think. Looking on my shelf here, I don't see it. No. It's the Gnostic Gospel according to St. Thomas, and it's another great read that if you might want to check out. But it talked about, instead of looking to worship a God through religion out here, it was about understanding the God within. And there was a lot of references that are not in scripture. I wish if I had one bucket list item, one of them would be to have complete access to the Vatican archives in Italy, to be able to go through and read some of the stuff that was never put into the Bible. Almost 45 letters written to the church were not put into the Bible. And the Bible is about 66 letters combined to make the Bible, right? So that's 45. That's over half the Bible that wasn't, put in, edited in a sense. And so for me, with my studies and my soul adventures and my journey to understand this life and my spiritual awakening, I kept coming back to references about where Jesus would talk about the divinity within, the God spark within, that you don't have to look out here to find God, that God is found in here. And now some would say, based on their perspective, oh, that's blasphemy. I don't find it to be blasphemy, because I'm going to put a little bit of science and anatomy and physiology. As a healthcare provider for many, many years, I would always ask my instructors that were teaching the class, I'd be like, yeah, we know how the heart works. We know the four chambers. We know the veins, the arteries, the aorta, how it works. But what makes this engine go? What's the spark? Because you have to have a spark. You have to have a rhythm. You have to have a vibration. You have to have that spark plug. But where is that source ignited from? And some would call it, again, the spark within, the God spark, the consciousness of who we are. Because without those sparks, without those firings of that energy, the heart doesn't go, the heart doesn't beat, you don't have breath, and therefore we would call that physical death. But quantum physics is telling us that quantum physics and quantum science is now starting to tell us that death is actually not the end, because the energy always has to go somewhere. It just doesn't just go poof and be gone. And so this started from my medical background, those days really had me challenging status quo. Like, where does this energy come from? Is it God? No one would be able to answer that, and we're not sure, because it's not one of those known 4% known scientific measures, which means 96% of the science that we know is based on theories, hypothesis, opinions, but is not fact. Only about 4% of science based on mathematics is supported by fact. This is one of these facts, or these are one of these theories and one of these hypotheses, that where is the energy, where does it come from that makes us incarnate in the physical matter form and have a heartbeat? And so that was really, kind of resonate with me, like, oh, well, shit, he's talking about the God within and the divinity within. And then when you have your spiritual awakening and you unplug and you start to move away from your learned behaviors, whether you were taught by religion or your parents or your upbringing or your own free will and choice, and you choose then to be like, okay, I'm a full believer, I'm an agnostic, I want proof of, what I can't see with my own eyes, or I'm going to be a complete atheist and not believe in anything. And that what's the whole purpose of my journey being here? I'm just here to work a 9-to-5 job, pay my taxes, and die. It just didn't resonate with me. So I really started going down the spiritual path. So religion worships God. Spirituality encourages a oneness with God. So see, there's a big difference. You're worshiping a God with religion in their format and their dogmas and their rules. And again, you have over 5,000 different religions around the world. And we've studied in our group, in the spiritual development group on Wednesdays, we've studied the top 10 religions to see the correlations, to see how similar they are, how they have different prophets, from Jesus to the Buddha, to Muhammad, to Krishna. I mean, it's very fascinating from a religious standpoint. And I was being encouraged to have this oneness through my many experiences now, and now my experiences with plant medicine, that oneness with divinity, that oneness with deism, that oneness with what I would call the divine feminine, Mother Nature. Um, Somebody was telling me, or no, maybe I was watching it the other day. The acronym for God, God, Great Outdoors. No, what was it? What was it? Yeah, Great Outdoors. Yeah, I had to think about the acronym there for a second. And that was, my connection to nature. And as a Taurus, I'm very earthbound. I'm very connected to nature. So I have a lot of, not lately, but I was doing a lot of hikes before the pandemic, getting out in nature as much as I can. I'm going to get out in nature here in a couple of days, and really take my healing and my injuries to the ocean, and let the ocean bring back more healing and more sparkle, if you will. But I heard that acronym of God, God, is Great Outdoors, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it's just a different perspective. But spiritualism versus religion is worships God. Spirituality encourages a oneness with God, to know thyself, and those can come through many channels, through, like I said, natural plant medicines, meditations, sound baths, frequency, binaural beats, getting out in nature, and really understanding, and again, setting intention. I always teach on ask, believe, take a deep breath. Again, I believe in breath so much, I've got it tattooed right here now. The journey in, all the stuff we go through, and then finally we exhale and move to the next journey. And so for me, it's just it was really making a lot of sense to start prospecting as the intuitive prospector, to have a oneness with that, or with whatever God is. I can't tell you. I used to believe it was an old. I was taught that it was an old white dude with white hair and white beard sitting on this golden throne. And I was like, God, that just does not sound. That's us trying to identify and logically try to explain God. I can't today logically explain God. I just know from a deism standpoint that there is something on the other side of this veil that we call death, which quantum physics is now starting to show that death is just an illusion. It's a next step, and a next learning opportunity. And so it was like, oh, okay. But now I know that not everybody's going to resonate with that, because not everybody's had an NDE, not everybody's had an OBE, not everybody's had an experience with a intelligence that's greater, not from our planet. Just like octopus. Octopus isn't from our planet. We were having a fun conversation the other day. I was talking with a gentleman, while we're getting. I got my. Somebody would be proud. I have my new iPhone. I got an iPhone 15. I had finally upgraded from the iPhone 8, and it was so bad that he's like, I'm sorry, I can't even give you a good trade-in on this because it's not worth anything anymore. But just the technology. But as we were talking about, he had some cool tattoos. So we started talking. One was a UFO, and then we started talking about the octopus that is here on planet Earth, that you can literally, I've seen several times on many of my dives. You can go to an aquarium, you can go see them for yourselves. The fascinating thing behind the scenes is octopus, based on DNA, has no cousins in the DNA strand. So you could relate, a giraffe to a zebra to a great white shark. They have cousins and relations based on their DNA strands, and how we've sequenced and studied the DNA sequence now. But the one that does not have any relations is the octopus, which means it's not from here. It's an extraterrestrial. And when you look at it, there's many documentations, documentaries, studies. I loved my octopus teacher on Netflix, came out during the pandemic. It was awesome because it demonstrated their reasoning, their logic, their problem solving. They show empathy. That shows intelligence in a different way, just like whales and dolphins. Even scientists are now saying that the orca whales that have been attacking all these ships over in Spain, they're not doing it because they're angry. They're doing it because they're learning, they're evolving, they're just having fun, right? So even the orcas, which are intelligence and they communicate and show sympathy and empathy, are learning just by, now the people being attacked. I'm sure that's scary as hell. But scientists are looking at this again, part of that 96% that we just don't understand about our planet and what's going on our planet. But I've always, when people say, well, have you ever seen an alien? Besides this alien, which I did off the coast of Puerto Rico, my Coast Guard days, but I've seen the octopus, and I say, oh yeah, I've seen him several times. They're like, really, tell me about it. And then when I tell them about it, they're like, I never thought about it that way, right? But there's no relationship, there's no cousins to the octopus, which means it's not from this planet. It had to have come from someplace else. So there's just a lot of mysticism, a lot of mystery, a lot of unknowns. That 96% that has not been proven by science yet. So 4% proven by mathematics. The rest are all opinions, hypotheses, theories. And we all have an opinion. They always say, like, opinions are like eyebrows and elbows, and almost everybody has one in this day and age. So religion is worshiping God. Spirituality is encouraging you to have a oneness with God, a more intimate relationship internally, in private. You don't have to go out and one of the back pieces I'll give you, some of the most vile, just nasty energy and just negative experiences I've had have come from being in a religious congregational church, right? A lot of backstabbing, a lot of backbiting, a lot of affairs, a lot of vanity. And I'm just like, that's not what I want. That's not my personal, intimate relationship with whatever or whoever God is. Like I said, your God, I always say my religion is nature, right? And as a spiritualist, we talk about the light, the truth, and nature to connect to something bigger than yourself. And you'll have to determine what that is for you. Like I said, I can't tell you what God is. I just know that there is a God, a consciousness, a higher vibration through love that resonates on the other side of death and can be accessed anytime up until you transfer over and before then. So religion is really the aspect that God is out here, and spirituality is a God within. So again, some are going to be offended by that. I'm not trying to offend. I'm just laying perspectives on my journey. Again, think buffet, think spiritual, a spiritual buffet, spiritual, pick and choose what you want. But for me, it was really about starting to find the God within. And a lot of the readings that took me outside of my scripture. And there's a lot of other Bibles out there besides just the Christian Bible, right? You've got the Hindu Book of the Dead. You have the Egyptian Bible. These books were written thousands of years before some of the main scriptures that we know today. I found in my journey, as I'm talking about my smorgasbord, as I'm talking about my spiritual buffet, I found that religion, in my own experience, separated people who have different beliefs. And I many times would have conversations with the Mormons that would come to my doorstep, the Seventh-day Adventists that would, knock on my door, and I was very polite and kind. And they're entitled to, promote their religion. But when it gets to the point that if you don't believe what I believe, you're going to go to hell. That's when we start having debates and being like, well, why would that be? Why would I go to hell? And if I don't believe what you believe? And that's the competitive nature of religion. Because remember, religion also brings in a lot of money. And if you look just even around the world and even here in the United States, some of the locations where these churches were built weren't built on just, oh, here, have my land. It was built on, here, we're going to kill you and take your land, right? So there's a really negative history to religious doctrines and findings and foundings. And for me, it was really about the spiritualism of the God within. And so I found that religion separates people who have different beliefs, where spirituality unites people regardless of their beliefs. I found it to be more inclusive. I found it to be more diverse. I've had some of the best conversations with full believers, atheists, agnostics, completely different religions, Hinduism, Judaism, Catholicism, Krishna, Buddhist. And when you can relate, because a lot of the religions are really the same, just different doctrines. I found it was like, no, spirituality is where I want to be. It's more open door, and it's more open versus man-made kind of construct. And so, when something separates, that you have to ask yourself this question, only you can answer it. If you want to be a part of something that separates people versus something that brings people together, that's what you'll have to choose, right? I also found that religion teaches people to be afraid of hell. And I was scared to death of going to hell. Satan, the fire, the brimstone, dude with a spike and red horns. But when you start to educate and to have knowledge and learn about different readings, you realize that Satan was actually one of the most beautiful angels in heaven, not some red scary dude that's going to throw you in a pit of fire. And it would prove me wrong, but I don't recall reference of this story being in scripture. So there's references to brimstone and fire and stuff, but not as the way that it's told today. And then Hollywood movies just only manufacture and make it more worse. But what the difference is, religion teaches people to be afraid of hell. Spirituality teaches people to create heaven on earth. Because who's to say, with everything going on our planet right now, the killing of our planet, the divide of doctrines based on politics or religions, or the killing, the murdering, the tragedies that happen every single day, it's like, well, how do we know that this is not hell that we're experiencing right now, hell on earth, where the spiritual pathway is teaches us to create a heaven on earth. And I believe that's by finding to know thyself, to find the God within, whatever, whoever God is for you. But when people tell me, they knock on my doors, and they come into my space, into my energy, and trying to tell me that what I believe is wrong, I'm like, well, then you're already missing the point. You've already set a competition and a divide as your intention, where spiritualism would be, hey, come on in, let's have a chat. By the end of the 15, sometimes I would debate with these guys for up to 45 minutes. I really enjoyed the debate and the perspective, but they would walk away and be like, oh, there's no way that we're turning this guy to our religion. So in a sense, sometimes it's not being mindful, being kind of the sheep being driven based on what you're told. I would challenge you to challenge that status quo. I would challenge you and recommend to, if it's triggering you somehow or it doesn't sit right for you, then go prospect for what does fit for you, what is right for you, whether it's based on your sexuality, whether it's based on your religion, based on the spiritual pathway teaches you to go find and create your own heaven here on earth, and not be based on a construct of being afraid of hell, which I don't. I used to fear death because I feared, like, if I wasn't good enough. Right. Well, back when I was growing up, there was three concepts. If you were good enough, you went up to the pearly gates, and um, uh, the saint would let you in, and you could just live in your mini mansions forever, for eternity. And if you weren't good enough, if you were a complete asshole and a jerk, or a murderer, or a rapist, or whatever, the many concepts in the physical incarnate world, then you would just be, right after death, you'd just take an express elevator down. It was always down to hell, up to earth, or up to heaven. And it would be like, oh my gosh. And I'm not any of those, but it was scared me. It scared the hell out of me. One, I was scared of death. And two, like, what if I wasn't good enough and I would go down in this elevator to hell and live in fire and brimstone for eternity? It just made no sense. And it was very scary. And then the concept at that time, based on my religion that I was brought up in, was also a sense of purgatory. Now, the teachings have moved away, because purgatory was kind of being stuck. You're kind of stuck in between the two, which is even, that just sounds horrible, right? And so for me, it became with my spiritual journey that heaven wasn't a location. Heaven was a vibration. And that vibration can be the same vibration that's the same energy in your heart, is what I'm saying. And so again, heaven is not a location. Heaven is a vibration. And I say that because when I said heaven was up and hell was down, a lot of people just give the perspective. And I remember this when I had my NDE, that I started to ascend up, because we're ascending out of our body, out of our incarnate physical matter form. We are going up to look back at what's going on. But if you take the bigger picture, we're on a round planet going around a ball of fire in space. We can't go up and we can't go down, because there is no up and down on something that's round. And so metaphysically, it's impossible. So then you start to think, well, if we can't go up or down, then is it a world between worlds that is based on energy, frequency, vibration, and what we see and what we see? I always say that we have three eyes in life: two to look, one to see. And so that just strengthened my spiritual concept, that's why I can do mediumship. That's why I can tune in. I can raise my auric vibration energy field to connect to somebody that's already here consciously, just not in physical matter form. And so, Nikola Tesla, if you don't know Nikola Tesla from history, I would advise you to prospect, to research him, and what great things he did, and how he was so poorly treated. Even at the end, how all of his work was stolen. He wanted to give free energy to the world. His writings showed that he was in contact with something bigger than himself. Some would call them aliens, extra dimensional beings. And he talked about, if you want to unlock the secrets of this universe, then you have to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's really where I started going down that channel. Like, started reading about Einstein. Einstein always talked about this 3-pound brain in our head. On average is about 3 pounds, and it's actually separated. There's a cortex that comes down, and then the brain actually is separated with a channel going through. Your left brain here, your left brain is logic, speech, reasoning, memory. Everything is right here, because I learned about the brain from my brother's brain surgery before he passed on, and his 2 surgeries he had on his brain mapping and how everything worked. It was fascinating. Horrible, for I put myself in his shoes any day, so he could have stayed and raised his kids. But I learned about the brain, and that's where my spiritual journey really started to deepen. Where the right side is where Einstein would always talk about the imagination, the creation, the true power lies in the right hemisphere of the brain. But he would always talk about this 3-pound weight in our head is one of the most complex, not yet understood mechanisms in the entire solar system. And that's why we call these the temples, right? These are called eye orbitals, or the temporal bone. But this is also a temple, because within the temple is the third eye, the pineal gland, the connection. And we know from podcasts that I've had that neuroplasticity, the brain has the ability to do a lot of things. And there's actually DMT. If you're not familiar with DMT, these are things that start to open up the consciousness, the spiritual aspect of things. And DMT, if you can go deep enough, you can actually release DMT from the pineal gland into your system to have those experiences. But most of us usually need a catalyst, whether it's ketamine, DMT, ayahuasca, peyote. There's a whole bunch of plant medicines that have a history, nothing new, indigenous. In Peru, the Peruvians have been using ayahuasca for over thousands of years, and that's part of their journey. They actually give little doses to their children because it helps them to see the world in a much broader perspective. So that's what I love about the difference on religion versus spiritualism is, again, religion teaches people to be afraid of hell, where spiritualism teaches people to create your heaven on earth, whatever heaven is for you and whatever that is. Religion is based also on fear and restriction. I found this to be so very true. Fear for me now has 2 meanings: false evidence appearing real, face everything and rise. And that's part of my spiritual journey, part of my spiritual pathway as the intuitive prospector. So again, religion is based on fear and restriction. Spirituality is based on love and freedom. To know thyself, to love your neighbor regardless of what they look like, their skin tone, their religious doctrine, their sexuality. And I believe we're seeing more of this chaos and this divide and uncertainty because people are becoming more aware. People are not, buying into the status quo. People are unplugging from the matrix. People are learning that what they've been told for years or what they've been taught is actually not all truth. And they're going out to find the truth. That's why we have the pronouns, they, them. That's why you have the differences in a person's sexuality. I don't understand it all myself, but it's because people are not going to be identifiable based on what a community conditioning sets upon them. And then what that does is that creates ripple effects where people are finding their own path and saying, I'm not a he, I'm not a him, or I am a he, I am a him, or I want to be, the pronoun they, because you're something bigger than yourself, your higher self, your physical self, your emotional being, your mental being, your spiritual being, your physical being. So that's why we have all this going on, and it's crazy. And there's old ways of thinking, old ways of religious doctrine, and there's also new ways of thinking, and those are always going to clash. Now, if you go back throughout history, go back to the 1600s. Remember, the church didn't burn witches; the church burned women, right? Who said they were witches based on a religious doctrine, right? But if we just break it down, they didn't burn witches, but it's told that they were burning the witches from Salem. No, they were burning women, and they were murdering women based on a religious construct. So you can go all throughout history and find example after example after example. If you did not conform to something, you would be killed, right? And now we are in a state and day and age where there is a rule of law that you are allowed to have the freedom to choose and pick what you want to do, and that's spiritualism. But it also comes from a place of love. It's based on love, and it's based on freedom. And I believe within love there is respect, kindness, compassion, caring for another human being. Because at the end of the day, we all have different experiences, and we look different, but we have the same damn heart, we have the same damn blood, we have the same damn brain. And until somebody tells me otherwise, or we actually have contact with a new species of extra dimensional thought, who's to know that they're actually a physical being, right? Because if we're thinking extra dimensional, we have to think things bigger than 3-dimensional. 2-dimensional is a fish, in water. The fish just accepts it's in water. Three-dimensional is we're starting to think about ourselves from a quantum level. We're moving into a quantum. So like me engaging with you is more quantum based, more of a digital, because I'm not physically with you, I'm digitally with you. And as we move into quantum thinking, consciousness is raised based on those ideas and theories that have been around for a long, long time. But when you start to think to know thyself, that's why I have the tree of life behind me, as above, so below. You start to have some pretty amazing spiritual experiences. And it can be fearful. You might be fear because what we don't understand leads us to fear many times. But remember that fear is usually based on false evidence appearing real. Face everything and rise. So I would recommend, if you are having a spiritual awakening or you're just not sure what the hell's going on, find a course, find a tutor, find a teacher, find a mentor. That has been some of the biggest thing for my spiritual journey, is to be able to find a mentor to help me understand what was going on. It's usually somebody that's gone through the unplugging of the matrix, like I showed you early. It's covered in the goo, being flushed out, only to start living again. So another difference from religion, I got just two more, and then I'll start taking your questions. Religion feels like being a single drop in the ocean. That's it. That's what religion is. That you go to church, you're a part of a congregation, which is great. If that works for you, again, I'm just laying out perspective, not trying to be disrespectful at all. I respect your path to whatever religion you want to go down, but you go somewhere to be a collective drop in an ocean of that religion, where spirituality feels like being the entire ocean in a single drop. Now, I'll let that sit for a second, because that may not make any sense to you. It didn't make sense to me at the time when I was having my spiritual awakening, because I'm like, I'm having a spiritual awakening. This is going to be kumbaya and kitty cats and cupcakes and rainbows and how you doing? No, it was actually some dark nights of the soul physically, including this operation that I just had to have on my low back. That's been a journey within itself, physical transformation and ascension. And again, the caterpillar does not become the butterfly until it goes through a complete deliquefaction. It literally goes into the cocoon, deliquefies, and reliquefies into the new body and the wings, that when it emerges, it has a completely new perspective. So what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the butterfly calls a beautiful brand new beginning, right? And so that's why I always say, if you ever see a butterfly struggling to get out of its cocoon, don't give compassion or a kindness to it. Let it struggle, because it's the struggle in the cocoon that allows the wings to be sharpened. Because if the wings don't ever get sharpened, they don't fully develop, the butterfly never flies, and it never has that perspective. The spiritual awakening is that same concept. You can sometimes deliquefy, be like, what is going on? You may lose relationships, friendships, careers. Like I said, I've gone through all of this, from family to friends to even now this surgery ended my federal career after 23 years. I'm now qualified for an early medical retirement, but I knew this last year that this was going to play out, because I was given a download. I was given a memo that, hey, Mark, you're not going to be there in the end, but you'll win. And you can't continue to walk the two paths that you've been on for the last 7 years, working for the federal government, and the spiritual practice that we need you to do, and continue to write, to continue to podcast, to continue to YouTube. This is where we want you to be, but you have to choose. You have to. This is literally a download. And when I asked, where did this come from? Because I was actually getting this download and concept and communication from my meditations, I was like, where's this coming from? And that's when I was revealed to the higher, what were some are called the Akashic Records, some are called the Ascended Masters, the Inspirers, your higher self. There's a lot of references to it. And I was like, wow, after all these years, I'm finally getting a little bit better communication and connection. But they told me you would have to choose based on free will and choice, because we can't mandate that. So what was mandated me on the physical world, and what was given to me by free will and choice in the spiritual world, I said, I will pick the spiritual path every day of the week and twice on Sunday. But that's been hard too, right? You're working through the ego, working through what Carl Jung talked about, the super ego, which are based on what you're born into, social security numbers, education system, institutionalized community conditioning. You have to move past that as well. That is not an easy thing to do. So again, it feels like, the religion is feeling like just a single drop in the ocean to go to church and to be in your community, and that's great, and it makes you feel better. But when you're having a spiritual pathway developed, you literally feel like you're an entire ocean that's just considered into just a single drop, and there's a big ocean there. So just something to think about, something to maybe pray about, something to meditate. I pray, I meditate. Prayer for me is thought going out on my and wants, and I pray to God. I pray to Jesus. I pray to other prophets, and say, hey, I'm literally just had a major life changing spinal surgery for my L4 L5, which was completely collapsed, and a spacer of half-inch put in. So I'm actually a half-inch taller. But I was praying for healing, and I was in prayer groups, and people were holding space for me. And I believe that the power of prayer is your energy, that God within, that auric field, is your ability to push out what your wants and desires and needs are, and then listening back through the power of meditation or qigong or yoga. I was looking at my Yoda book. Yoga or Tai Chi. I use qigong as my way to receive back. I use sound baths to bring up the vibration. Again, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And I would tell you, if you're on this spiritual path where things just keep going and going. So here's from the Red Rocks in Arizona. I've got the spiritual pathway, the spiral. If you're, in a spiral constantly, so stop spiraling and start evolving, and instead of going like this, start going like this, involving yourself to evolve to a higher way of thinking, a higher way of connecting. So prayer is thought going out, meditation is listening back to receive what you need, not what you want at the time. So I hope that you're praying. I hope that you're meditating. And again, coming from a place that the spiritual feels like you're an entire ocean in a drop, but you're coming based on a place of love and freedom. The last concept that I would share with you today, based on my understanding of the difference between religion and spiritualism, and I've done them both with 50 plus years on the planet physically incarnated now, is religion is based on others' experiences. So you always hear about old dudes in faraway lands, and I would be like, well, I'm not going to travel 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles while I'm growing up to hear about this guy, which is great. They obviously did something in history, because they're still remembered based on writings, based on storytelling. Because remember, before we had writings, everything was told based on cultural storytelling. You had to tell the story correct. You couldn't add to it. That's why I love the Book of Mormon. If you have not seen the Book of Mormon, it's a great story about how storytelling can go wrong. And it's funny as hell. If you're in the Mormon religion, you probably won't like it because it is based on the Mormon religion, Mormonism. But there's, if you know the history behind it too. And again, I'm not talking bad about Mormons. I'm not talking about Catholics. I'm not talking bad about Jews or Palestinians or Hindus, or it's just find your own journey, prospect for what fits for you. And if that's a religious nature, so be it. If it's a spiritual, I hope that you go in the spiritual, because it's going to be based on your own personal experiences. And that's the difference between religion and spiritualism. Religion is based on others' experiences. Spiritualism is based on your own personal experiences. And I've had a lot of personal experiences over the years. So that's where I really resonate as a spiritualist. I am actually a spiritualist with the Spiritual National Union in England. As a full voting member, went through a lot of classes, and I'm also a minister. So I became a minister because I love watching people get married, and I can marry people, and and have that option. So let me get to the page here. What I'll do is I'll put in the chat board. Bear with me here. And again, thanks for joining me today on this Friday. I hope you're having a great Friday and ready for the weekend. And the page here, what I'll do is, if you want to come in and have a chat, maybe you had something going on, maybe you have, maybe you've had a spiritual awakening, or you're just going through it and you're not sure what to do with it. I get it. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt many times over. And I'll also be looking at the comments on the page. So let me get over to the page here on my new iPhone 15. And just we'll start the Q&A process. So you see, there's the show here. All right. So good morning to Katie, Tara, Bryant. Good morning to you. Thanks for following the journey. Carrie, good morning to you. Good morning to my mom. Good Friday morning. Hope you're having fun down there in Vegas, Mom. Rena, hello. Rena AR. Hi, Carlos Alvarez. Caroline, good morning to you. I hope you're well. Thank you, my dear. I am well. I'm doing much better. I still have my good days, my bad days, but I'm pretty much off the narcotics now. I have just I only take them if needed, which, when I take narcotics, because I'm so sensitive, my dreams are just, I already have crazy dreams. Narcotics, oxy, hydro, they just amplify it and make it like you wake up like, oh my God, I got a good night's rest, but I was like astro traveling, or my dreams were just off the hook. But I'm doing much better, and The incisions are now healing, so they're a little bit. That was the roughest part was the incision. I have 3 incisions, one on my side from where they put the half-inch spacer into my vertebrae because it had completely collapsed, and then I've got 4 screws with 2 brackets that were fused into my L4 L5, but they had to do 2 incisions on my low back, and those are finally all closed and healing. But man, that was some of the toughest pain was the incision, which I was surprised because I've never really had a major surgery as part of my my transformation, right? So thank you, Caroline. Appreciate that. Hi, Elena. How are you? Hi, Samantha Fox. Good to see you. Jenny says, good day, Mark. Would you please share with us your experience on how you accepted the connection between the spiritual dimensions and your physical realities? Did you visit insanity or mental illness during this process? Yeah, Jen, that's a really that's a great question. What helped me in my journey from transformation, like I said, I'm going through a lot of transformations right now because I literally, my federal career after 23 plus years has ended. I'm now officially semi-retired and going through that process with legal stuff. But what I was able to do was able to connect through a lot of different modalities. So it started with a trauma and loss back in the day. It started with, believe it or not, it was a Coast Guard that put me through. It was called biofeedback. So I would go to these biofeedback sessions, and they would hook me up to all this equipment, and then I would be told to go to my happy place. And here I'm a 27-year-old, cocky, arrogant, young guy thinking, oh, I don't need this bullshit. This is go to my happy place. But after I think I did 8 or 10 sessions over the course of those, and I had to go to them because I was just severely broken from grief and trauma and all. Because not only did my brothers pass on in the spirit world, my wife's father at 47 had passed from multiple sclerosis. So those 3 events all combined, but then we had murder trials because my brother was murdered. So I had to go through the murder trial. So it was very, very overwhelming, very, very stressful, and pretty much broke me. So I had to go to these sessions. So I started grieving counseling. That started giving me perspective. Biofeedback. After the 10 sessions, I could literally see, feel, and know from a scientific standpoint how things, my blood pressure would go down, my pulse would go down, my breathing would go down. That started to show me that there was something else to this. This was just my ignorance, and I was being introduced to new knowledge and education. But I always had that free will and choice to accept it and go down and learn about it or not. So biofeedback, grievance counseling. I then started, and years later, I would start to get into meditation, qigong, sound therapy. That would also lead me to hypnotherapy, and I did a hypnotherapy session for well over a year. That really unlocked a lot of doors in healing and opening that consciousness to know thyself. Soma breath work. I would work with Soma, SOMA, which puts you, if you do it correctly, and you do it usually based on guidance, it puts you into a state of hypoxia, which means that your blood oxygen has dropped. So I would start at 98.6%, and I would drop all the way down to sometimes 90%. And you'd have a pulse oximeter. So I could measure this, but the way it made me feel. And then, my latest journeys of, working now with plant medicines, something I couldn't do during my federal career because it was not legal. But now I don't work for the federal government, so I can do whatever the fuck I want, right? So I've had some really major experiences now with the plant medicine and to know thyself and unlock those doors. Which has been fascinating. Definitely a connection to the divinity, especially feminine, divine energy, Gaia, Mother Earth, grandmother. I would refer to it as grandmother. But again, you have to be ready to do that. I've been invited to ceremonies for ayahuasca because I did a couple of shows to learn about the podcast. I did a podcast on some of the plant medicines, and I wanted to understand without actually doing it. I wanted to see what people would go through, and so I was invited over to a ceremony and got to see that, and that was pretty cool. And then finally, the courage to do it myself, and which I'm happy to do because it brings forth healing, and that just only increased, Jenny, my spiritual connection based on spiritual dimensions. And again, to me, it's where I learned that heaven wasn't an actual physical location like I was taught. Heaven was an actual vibration, and you start to match your vibration, like looking for a radio station, right? Think of frequencies. You dial a radio based on frequencies. You go through all the frequencies, and if they're broadcasting, you hear the music. It's the same concept of dialing in through prayer, through meditation, through deep trance, experiences, through your dreamscape. In a sense, your dreamscape, you're pretty much unplugging from consciousness and your physical matter, and you're connecting to something bigger in yourself because the brain's more active when you're asleep than what it is right now. The brain is actually quite dormant as I'm talking to you right now. That's not my opinion. That's actually proven by sleep scientific studies. So that would fall into that 4% of what we know, that the brain's more active asleep than it is awake. And right now I'm talking, I'm typing, I'm drinking coffee. So you would assume that the brain is firing, but it's not. But then I stop and I don't do anything, and all of a sudden the brain goes crazy, right? So Rumi talked about this. The more silent and still you become, the more you'll actually hear, right? And that's why I have my stone right here just to remind me to listen more, because the anagram for listen is silent. You can take the same amount of letters and move them around and you get silent, right? That's why I have the breath tattoo now, to remind me to breathe, because breath is a powerful connection. You don't need psilocybin, you don't need DMT, you don't need ketamine. Those are amplifiers to get you there, but your own breath work, even by doing soma breath work, can put you into some pretty cool realities. And it's all natural. It's all based on the breath of the journey. So that, I don't know if that answers your question, Jenny, but that's what I've done. And again, learning different from different teachers, reading different things, and then taking what I've read and applying and be like, well, that worked great, or that didn't work great. One example is I started learning about cold therapy, because before my surgery, I was in so much pain. I'll give you an example. I was in so much pain and I had so much numbness and nerve damage from what I didn't know had, at that time, that the L4, L5 had completely. So your vertebrae have a spacer in between, kind of like, think of it like a marshmallow, like a shock absorber, right? You're like, think of the shock absorbers you're on your car for your tires to help, right? Well, that can, with that marshmallow in between the vertebrae, it usually should have a half inch like that. It was completely gone. So I was bone on bone. What that did to my nerve root, it closed it. Most nerve roots are about like that on average. Mine, when we got the MRI and the X-rays, was down to that. So I was in all this pain, and I'd been in pain for probably 2 to 3 years, if not longer, to where even the surgeon said, "Hey, I'm pretty conservative when it comes to these type of surgeries, but you needed to have this a long time ago." So I wasn't feeling great a lot of the times, and I thought that was just me feeling bad, part of my, that grief and that trauma and that physical, learned through hypnosis that I had survivor's guilt from the loss of my brothers. I didn't know that survivor's guilt was a real thing, and I probably experienced and went through that for 20 plus years before hypnotherapy gave me that new perspective to be like, oh, you don't need to, you can create the heaven on, you don't have to live in your own hell of loss and trauma and survivor's guilt. You can create your own heaven on earth. And what that did is the reading and the studies led me to start doing cold therapy. Because when I would do cold therapy, so I would emerge, I would go to the Puget Sound right here. I'm just a few blocks up from the Puget Sound, which is about 54 degrees here in Seattle year round. And I would immerse myself, or I'd take really cold showers, because after the cold, I would feel better. Or if we go traveling, like we're getting ready to travel to Mexico, I would be in that warm, dry heat, because here in Seattle, we have a lot of moisture and it's a lot of rain and clouds. We're getting into the nice time of the year, but from, January 5th, or from June 5th, that's when our summer really starts here in Seattle, to about October, it's pretty nice. But after that, moisture, rain, cloudiness, and it impacts your system. I would go down to Mexico and I feel like I was 30 years younger. And so I started to work on cold therapy called Wim Hof. He's a gentleman out of, I'm not going to get it right, but it's Sweden or Norway or Finland, or I'm sorry if I'm not getting it right, but his name is Wim Hof, and he had Wim Hof breathwork. So where you would immerse yourself in cold therapy, like an ice bath up to your neck, complete. Athletes do this all the time after they're done playing their games. You immerse yourself, and all of a sudden the body starts to panic. The mind starts to like, oh my God, this is induced pain on my entire body. What do I do? And what you do is I learned that you start to do breath work. And you literally have the ability to raise up your temperature. So after about the first minute of that pain and panic and fear and, oh my God, I'm going to die, this is so damn cold, to where the breath transforms it. And you're like, oh my God, this feels pretty good. So that was just the latest example, because I didn't know that I would need surgery until we actually last year had an MRI and X-ray where the doctor's like, yeah, you need to have, this isn't needed, this is required. And I can tell you now that I've done that transformation, that first major surgery in my life, I feel much, much younger, but I will stick with the cold therapy because of the way it made my brain activate, what made my brain work. And we'll continue to rehab for the next 4 to 5 months, and, being a half inch taller and just feel better. But those are examples, Jenny, that I would share with you today of prospecting for the physical body, for the mental body, for the emotional body. because I believe in what I teach is called the PEMS. So it's PEMS: physical, emotional, mental. There is the material world because there is conditioning based on the superego, what you learn, what you're influenced by, and then of course your spiritual pathway. And I really, if you realize that you're more than just a physical being working a 9 to 5 job to pay taxes and to buy shit you can't take with you anyway, your journey and your mindset completely transforms and you see a much bigger picture than you had before. And that's part of the spiritual pathway as well. So, all right. So I hope that makes sense. But again, during some of my experiences, there would be this road. On one side would be the insanity aspect that you were asking about, and on the other side of this road, especially with my experiences on plant medicine, and I call it plant medicines because it wasn't about getting high. It was about healing. It was about learning something bigger than myself. But there was a point where one side was complete enlightenment and bliss, and the other side was chaos and insanity and walking that pathway. And I do know people that have had, by having a spiritual awakening or working with modalities through the psychic, through the mediumship, through expanded consciousness, where they can't handle the realities of what's being delivered to them. I always think about the guy in the Matrix that got unplugged from the Matrix for all the wrong reasons. In the end, he couldn't handle it. He started, I don't know if you've seen that movie, but there are people I do know professionally, and some of my one colleague comes to mind that had to step away because they just lost their sense of reality, because you're now learning that reality is only your focus determines your reality. And then you realize there are more realities than just what meets the eye. There's a great movie called Three Body Problem on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. Dark Matter, I just started watching. Another Accidental Truth is a documentary I'd recommend. You can pay for it on Prime. It's $3.99 on Prime, or if you have Tubi, you can get it free on Tubi. I watched it free on Tubi. Last week when we were down at the UFO conference, I actually had an opportunity to have a drink with the director. I think his name's Ron James. Sounds like a porn star. He's not, but he had directed this new documentary called Accidental Truth, and it's based on, full disclosure, it's based on extra dimensional beings. And there was guest speakers all weekend, from pilots to people that have done experiences, to professors, to people that work for the secretive government. And he talked about the accidental truth was getting them to talk about truths, but accidentally do it because they wouldn't reveal. Maybe they had a non-disclosure form, or they couldn't because it was considered top secret or confidential. So that you would get in trouble by violating your NDA or violating your confidentiality kind of thing. But it's a fascinating documentary called Accidental Truth. And again, these are just things that you start to observe and watch, and then you decide what you want to do with them. You don't have to do anything with them. But I do know people, Jenny, that have lost their sense of reality based on what they're learning, based on the physical. Again, what the butterfly or what the caterpillar calls the end of the world, the butterfly called a whole new beginning. So there's some really good shows, and just shows you that society is shifting to the quantum way of thinking, ascension, and that's not going to resonate with everybody, right? So, for example, I had this conversation with a friend the other day. When we realize officially, because I've always said the government's not going to come out and tell us that we're not alone. The media is not going to do it. These are all controlled factors. It will come through crowdsourcing, where everybody that has one of these will be able to share their experience, and we'll learn that we're not alone. Whether we're just a gas station on the cosmic highway of the universe, and ships stop by to use our atmosphere to charge their ships, or watch us as a reality TV. I don't know. But once we realize that we're not alone, officially, and that's, again, this is one of the longest conspiracy theories running in mankind. I mean, even at the last week we were down, people had tinfoil hats on, right? It's just part of the joke. But once we realize that we're not alone, whether that's extra dimensional or there's another species here on the planet that have been here the whole time, like I said, our oceans, we still don't know. We don't have the ability to go deep within our Earth. Scientists are saying that there is now, they're confirming that there is an inner Earth, some sort of mantle within the mantle. And then even science is showing us that there's another planet Earth. I can't remember the name of it, but it's called the second Earth, which is much bigger than our planet. So once we get to that level of consciousness, it takes time to get there. That's you're going to see the population be split. Part of the population will say, "Oh, these are deities, these are gods." No, they're just organic beings that have advanced technology. You have another part of the population say, oh my God, they're based on their religion, based on what they've learned. They're demons. They're here to wipe us out. It's the end of the world. It's the apocalypse. They're going to enslave us. Something I saw in a Hollywood movie. And then you're going to have, another part of the population that's going to be neither or and not sure how to respond. So that's a lot of chaos and a lot of uncertainty. But it's going to happen in our Roaring Twenties. I had predicted it. I've called about this for, before the 20s hit. Roaring Twenties. You can go back and check my podcast. I've got 8 seasons of podcasts of Inspired Living where we've talked about this, and it's just part of ascension. Ascension and transformation is not easy, but as we learn with our medicine, as we learn with our technology, as robotics come in, as AI comes in, shoot, look at the surgery I just had. The surgery that I just had was created. I've got 3D printed technology in my back now, over 6 figures, by the way, not cheap. But this technology did not exist even 5 to 7 years ago. So they would have used plastic if I would have had this surgery, and they would have cut open my whole back, my back muscle included, made the repairs, sew me back up, and I would be looking at a minimal of a year recovery time. I was up and walking based on the technology, based on the incisions, based on the robotics and the microscopic eyes and how they did all the work. They went through a tube. That's why I have the incisions on my back. But they installed this 3D printed technology, which 3D printed, if you would have heard that concept even just 10 years ago, that would be something out of Star Trek, right? Science fiction becoming science fact. But because they were able to do this without cutting me completely open in my back muscle, I was walking the next night after my surgery. And by 3 weeks, I was walking on my own, where the surgeon said some people are still in a wheelchair after 3 weeks. So it just shows you the advancement. There's a lot of, learning curves and a lot of learning, painful learning, right? But to grow, you grow what you go through. And I'm excited for what's ahead of us. From what I see, there's still going to be war. There's still going to be chaos and divide and religions and even a second civil war here in the United States. I've talked about that. Would not be surprising. Somebody just asked me the other day what I saw for the upcoming presidential election. I don't really engage with the politics anymore because it's just a circus. It's just a show. But what I told him, based on what I'm seeing, based more on money, not even with the two yahoos that are running against each other. One's now a convict. The other one's pretty old. I said, as long as the stock market stays as it is, and the one candidate doesn't die because he's much older, which I respect the elder. It's just like back in the day, you go to your elders for advice, right? You go to your elders in indigenous. They go to their elders in the teepee. They go to the elders in the temple. So there's something to be said about that. But I said, as long as the stock market hits or stays where it's at, because it's all based on greed and people's 401ks, and the one guy doesn't die, I would see another 4 years of the current president repeating. But all that's going to do is create even more divide and more conflict, to where this will also be a catalyst for a second civil war. People, years ago, when I started talking about this back before 2020, people say, oh, that'll never happen in America, Mark, you're crazy. But not so crazy now, am I? There's a lot going on, and I wouldn't be surprised with some sort of second civil war. But that will continue place at the three-dimensional energy construct, where a lot of the population is now starting to move on, ascend, and grow. And our technology, our medicine, our AI, this is going to be a part of ascending, but it will always create perspective of differences. So that's what I'm saying there. So kind of a long-winded question or answer, Jenny. I apologize if that was long-winded, but I hope that makes sense. And again, I'm just sharing my differences on religion versus spiritualism based on my own experiences, perspective, and reality. So you transmitted some valuable information. Good. And again, this will be over. This video will be up next week. Will be up on my YouTube channel when I get back from vacation. You can go to right here to marklainhart.com. And again, thank you to all the people that have been subscribing to my channel. I don't know what happened, but we're almost at 17,000 subscribers since about 4 or 5 months ago. So that just tells me the universe, I made the right choice of leaving the federal government, following my spiritual path, trusting the universe, and to know thyself, to continue sharing, podcasting, writing, doing these shows, doing readings. So, okay, so let's get into some readings here real quick. And just a reminder, if you're a subscriber, you can get you can go to the store right here at marklainhart.com. If you are one of my Patreon prospectors, or if you're one of my Diamond Hubs subscribers here on Facebook, that one is $4.99 a month. Just remember, next Friday, the 7th, I will be in Mexico But I will be doing, hopefully, if the communications and the technologies is up to par, I'll be doing my live show. And then I have, for my subscribers, that's the first Friday of every month, is your ability to come in as a subscriber to get a free reading, a prayer, a meditation, a healing, just a chat about what's going on in your life, just to see how I could help you and help you prospect for that diamond within and the diamonds all around. There's two links that you can only get to them as a subscriber, either on the Patreon page, Patreon Prospectors at marklainhart.com, or the Diamonds Hub subscribers here at marklainhart.com. And within those closed community pages is a Zoom link, one at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and one at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you can't make the morning, there's an afternoon session, and I will be available via Zoom. I'll be on my mobile most likely, but I have a new mobile, so it should be fine. But it's your way, it's my way of giving back to my subscribers for my Patreon and for my Diamond Hub subscribers. So if you haven't joined, join up, and we'll see you next Friday for your what I call community Q&A, where you can get a reading, which is much cheaper than booking a reading with me if you were to go, otherwise. And then the Patreon just is a little bit different because it is it's based on a tier. You can choose what tiers you want: access, advanced, access to the podcast, early release to anything I'm doing, stuff like that. So I hope that makes sense. All right. Hi, Denise. Hi, Raquel. Hi, Rita. Hi, Molly. Does biofeedback rejuvenate the pituitary gland? Yeah, I would say it does. It planted the seed for me, for sure. This was done years ago, but it did plant the seed, to be honest with you, Jenny. Hi, Suzette. Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Anne. Hi, Rachel. Recently, I'm informed of an archetypal pattern of Don Quixote. Oh, interesting. And that the pituitary gland, or the pineal gland, has been depleted. Prozac is suggested as a medicinal approach. Okay, Prozac, yeah. Naturally, I'm cynical, and rebellious, and seeking inner acceptance. Would you please pull a card for my inspiration? Truly, I appreciate you and you're willing to share. You bet. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Lois. Hi, Annette. Hi, Cecilia Figueroa. Am I saying your name right? I apologize if I'm not. Hi, Roseanne. Hi, Colleen. Thanks for being here. Hope you're feeling better. Hi, Carlos. Renee. Claire, hello to you. Claire Joyce. Deb Garnett, hello to you. Jenny, that Netflix suggestion was Dark Matter. I think it's on Netflix. It might be on Prime. There's so many streaming channels now, but I'm pretty sure that Three Body Problem is on Netflix. That I do know. Might be on the one I'm watching right now, Dark Matter. That might be on Apple TV. So, but it's based on consciousness. So, but the one Three Body Problem is on Netflix, and that one was pretty cool. It was interesting. Hi, Angie. Hi, Bonnie. Melissa Brewer, hello to you. Denise, hello. Sonia, hello. Margie, hello. Brandy, hello. Terry, hello. Shania, hello to you. Shania Cornelius, am I saying your name right? Karen, hello to you. Marilyn Newton is watching. Colleen Gray is watching. Dawn Ann Jones is watching. Hello to you. Shout out. Kathy Van Pelt Linda, hello to you. Tanya Redmond, hello to you. Mingram de Tina, I'm sorry if I'm Santez. I'm really bad with names. I apologize. Okay, so let me get the link over, and we'll start taking some of your questions. Hopefully the link stays. The link over. Oh, let's get that. So we're on the Facebook page. We're live. Going to do a few Q&A. If you're a star sender, on the Facebook page. We're live. Let me turn that down. Open up the Zoom room. Look for an avatar with it'll be me holding up a heart. That'll be the Zoom room link. And if the team wants to grab that link for anybody that wants to come in and have a Q&A. What I'm looking for, how this works for readings, if you're a subscriber, either Patreon, Diamonds Hub, or Star Sender, that's where I start looking for the priority. You kind of get the VIP head of the line. And then I start to get into the other questions if you're just tuning in to see what's going on here. So let's get into the Q&A. Zoom room is now officially open. Let's cue some music here so I can get ready to work. I hope you enjoyed today's topic about the difference between spirituality and religion, because there is a big difference based on that. Let's do this. We'll share the screen. We'll do this. Share, and go ahead and get ready for your questions. I'm going to turn my video off. desktop. There you go. Welcome to the Matrix. Song is Rise. Hi, Andre. Andrea, thank you for the All right, so let's get into the Q&A. Now, if you have a question for me, remember next Friday for my subscribers, you'll have the 2 sessions available via Zoom, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you can't make the morning session. And if you're a subscriber, Patreon or Diamonds Hub, you'll be able to have access with me next Friday live from Mexico via Zoom. So I had to just ramp up the energy there a little bit. We were talking about religion, the difference between the religious journey versus the spiritual journey. So now I'm going to take your questions. If you have any questions, if not, I will call it a day and get ready to get packed and finish up some duties around the house and continue to heal. But the Zoom room is open. If you want to come into the Zoom room, click on that link and just would ask if you come in, limit it to 1 question per person. Just helps me to get to everybody. With my star senders first, star sending, just to hit that star sending or subscribe, that pays for more coffee. Got my cup. This is my cup my mom got me when your song comes on. It's from The Mandalorian. And the star sending really just pays for coffee, really. And then subscribers will get priority. So I'm looking for your badges. You'll have a badge next to your name. Hi, Casey. Hi, Omar. Hi, Sarah Matthews. Dave Martinez is joining us. Hi, Court. Stellar. So go ahead and ask your questions. If my moderators, if you are on, I know at least one of you is on, could you let me know if you're seeing any negative comments or block those comments and or let me know if I missed a question. But go ahead and hi, Celestine. Is it Rocha or Roca? Do you say it as Rocha or Roca? Ask your question. If I missed your question, don't take it personally. Sometimes it's the algorithms based on what Facebook is doing, and I sometimes don't see everything. So just if I missed it, put a little asterisk with the word bump and then your question again. That tells me and my team that you asked a question earlier on when I was talking. Again, I'm not always looking at the phone or the screen while I'm talking to you here, so I may have missed it or the algorithms just didn't present it through on time. But if you want to ask your questions, go ahead. There's Kara. You can see she's got a subscriber badge next to her name. It's a little green badge. So thanks for being a subscriber. I appreciate you. Share the page out with others if you feel like this resonates, or maybe this is something that somebody needs to hear that's hurting or lost or unsure of their spiritual awakening or their journey. Because again, it's not easy to go through this. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Carol Junnick, hello to you. Nancy Howell, hello to you. A lot of people watching today. Wow. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, again, my name is Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector. I'm here in Seattle, West Seattle. If you want to learn more about my journey, my work, my upcoming classes, podcasts, writings, marclainhart.com. Once I'm fully back up and available from this life-changing spine surgery that I had, there'll be more fun stuff coming. Hopefully get out for some more, start recreating the Forest Friday hikes, get out into nature, which is, I was talking about that being an acronym for God, great outdoors. And then hopefully maybe some classes. I had planned on doing experiencing etheric, but just with my health, it just went downhill quick. It's funny because yesterday we went for the first time in getting ready for our vacation, went to get is it a manicure? This is a manicure, right? I got a pedicure, manicure, pedicure. I always get them confused, but I haven't had one since the surgery. And I'll tell you what, because the nerve, now that my nerve root is open and I've been repaired, it's one of the best foot massages I've had in years. Like it was almost to the point when she put the hot towel on, I get this wax, is it paraffin? I think it's paraffin. You get a paraffin wax. When she put the paraffin wax on my feet, I just about came out of the chair because it was so sensitive. Where before I had nerve damage and I couldn't feel, the bottoms of my feet at times, or it felt like I had, icy hot for a couple of years because the nerves had been pinched off. And yesterday was one of the best foot massage pedicures I've ever had in my life, because I'm healed. So that's just something I'd share with you. All right. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Marty, Heather, Kimberly. Hello. A lot of people watching today. So thanks for being here. We were talking about the difference of religion versus spiritualism and your own awakening. And I can recap those if you want. But if anybody has a question or you want to come into the Zoom room live, that link is now there. Just look for me holding a heart, my avatar, me holding a heart. If you want to come in and ask me something, I'll put you in the waiting room. Yeah, Jen, yes, you had asked that earlier. So thank you. So again, just put a star bump with your question, because we get a lot of questions. The list gets longer and longer. So Jenny Fisher had asked if I'd be willing to able to pull a card for inspiration for her. You bet. So let me take my book down because it ends up falling down. And Jenny Fisher will get you a card. Let's do this. So to make sure that everybody that's still on, if you want me to pull a card or you want to come in, Jenny, give me a number 1 through 14. I'm going to use your free will and choice to help pick that deck for you today. So a number between 1 through 14, because I've got 14 decks. They're kind of off camera. You can kind of see them all. These are decks that have been given to me by fans, by students, as gifts. So we have 14 decks. You want number 8. Good number. It's a great number. That's my life path number 8 for numerology right here. Number 8. So good number. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, you picked the Louise Hay thought deck. So what I want you to do, when you hear the word stop in your mind, type it out on the keyboard. And as I'm going through, I will pull the card based on when you type stop, because we're now working on the quantum level, right? We're working digitally at a quantum level, just like you'd be here in person. So this is for Jenny Fisher, who picked deck number 8, the thought deck. I'm shuffling, and when I see the word stop come up on the comments from Jenny Fisher, that is the card that I'll pull, and I'll just keep reshuffling the deck until I see the word stop. Hi, Ty. Hi, Brittany Bear. Hi, Ty Dove. Thanks for being here. Stop. All right. So what we did is we just worked on a quantum level experience digitally through the digital transformation, through the metaverse, if you will. And so Jenny picked the words, or she typed in stop. She picked the deck 8, which was Louise Hay's thought deck. Here's your thought for today. As I say yes to life, life says yes to me. So Jenny, you better be saying yes, because there's a lot of opportunities. There's that spiral that I was just talking about. Don't continue to spiral like this. Start to spiral, like evolve up, like take that spiral. But it says, as I say yes to life, life says yes to me. That's a very great inspiration for you. Life mirrors my every thought. As I keep my thoughts positive, life brings to me only good experiences. And this is, I'm going to give you a Star Wars quote. This is what George Lucas had written about with his Jedi. Your focus will determine your reality. Your thoughts will create your reality. And that's part of the spiritual pathway as well. So I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense, Jenny? Yes, Carlos, hello to you. We'll get you a card here. Hi, Colleen, one of my top fans. Needs some good vibes and patience. Laugh out loud. School's out for the summer. School's out for summer. I'd play it, but I'd get muted because you just remember all my music that I play, y'all, whether it's my podcast, my Facebook Live, my TikTok Live, or my YouTube channel, they're all copyright free. They're all trademark free. That last artist from Rise was by the group named Jumbo. So these are groups that are already approved by Meta to prove to play, so I don't get muted for copyright infringement. But yes, you bet, Colleen. So Colleen, take a deep breath in. I know you've been recovering. I'm going to go to the cool deck for you. I'm just going to pick it for you. Here's your card. Receive, 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 receive. Love this card. Look at all the purple hearts in it. That yellow, that green is kind of borderline solar plexus with the yellow, and the green is the heart. So whatever is going to come your way this weekend, be open just to receive that. It might be, to me, it feels like it's something like you would normally like not do, or you'd be like, oh, I'm not sure of that, and let the ego or the skeptic kind of get in the way. Whatever it is, do it. Receive it, because there's going to be some healing, and you're going to feel good after. It's kind of like the same, like I was talking earlier, getting in that Puget Sound, you jump in for the first time, and for the first 30 to 40 seconds, you're like, push it, push it, push it, this is cold, and your brain's panicking, and all of a sudden you're like, no, just breathe. Breathe. And then after about a minute, you're like, oh, this actually feels pretty good. I'm kind of glad I did this. It's refreshing. That's kind of that moment that I feel for you. Not that you're going to go get in cold water, but something's going to happen to where you need to receive it where you normally wouldn't if you've not received this message beforehand, right? So that's that sense of knowing ahead of time, that precog, if you will, precognition. So, all right, Carlos, yeah, what card would you like? Tara, we'll get you a card. Well, so deck number 9. So what I want you to do, Jenny says, absolution, 100% confirmation. Good, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, my friend. All right, hi, Keisha. Hi, Vicky Perez. Hello to you. So, Tara, you're on deck. And Carlos, you're going to be on deck because I want you to pick one of my 14. If you want a card, I want you to be more specific, quantum working, that you would like number 1 through 14, any number you want, or you can pick a page number between 3 and 325. I can do a book too, but I'm going to skip over to Tara because she actually picked deck number 9, which is going to be right from the I Allow deck. So Tara, you know the drill. She's one of my subscribers, and thank you for being a subscriber. When you type in the word stop on the keyboard, all right, Carlos, I see you. We'll get 8. We'll come back to the thought deck here. That was the thought deck here. That one I just did for Jenny, and I'll get you here in a second. But just start breathing on your end. Breath is very important. Breath is so important. I got it tattooed. Breath is a big part of working at the quantum. So Tara, when you hear the word stop in your mind, type it out on the keyboard, and I think I'm caught up to the comments, and we'll pull that card for you. So we're working on the quantum level. When I see the word stop come up from Tara, and again, the Zoom room is open if you want to come in and have a direct contact with me. I only do mediumship through live interactions in the room. I can't do it through the chat. It doesn't work. I need to know yes, no, stop. All right, here we go. Good stuff. Take a breath in to receive. Working at the quantum level, coming in from the digital transformation. I allow myself to connect with my higher power. Another spiral. Look at that. Back-to-back spiral card. You can see that sun, the spiral. I allow myself to connect with my higher self. I allow myself to connect with my higher self. So Tara, say that a bunch of times. I allow myself to connect with my higher self. Mantras are important. Thoughts become words. So say your words because these are actions and energy. I allow myself to connect with my higher self. Something that just crossed my mind. Again, just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not real, right? And it's not here. But that sun card that I just pulled reminds me that when you go out, and I'm looking at the sun because the sun is out here in Seattle. When you go out and look at the sun, you're seeing 8 minutes behind because it takes 8 minutes for the light to travel from the sun to the earth. So what you're seeing right now of the sun is 8 minutes that already happened. So think about that. That's within itself metaphysically quite interesting. So if the sun was to blow up, we wouldn't know it for 8 minutes. We wouldn't see that effect. So it's just interesting. All right. Hi, Elena. Hi, Charlene. Hi, Kelly Dunham. Elena's watching. So thanks for that. Hi, Mandalina. Am I saying your name right? Dahlia Flores. Hello to you. Hi, Molly. All right. So Carlos, we got number 8. So Carlos picked number 8, which is a thought deck. So same thing for you. As I am shuffling, you type in the word stop when you feel ready to type in the word stop, and that's the card that I will pick for you, my friend. Yeah, Tara, isn't it? It is interesting, right? Jenny says, thank you all for being here and being a part of the collective, and thank you very much, Mark, for your obedience to share your gifts. You're very welcome. I love doing it now. I'm going to be doing it more. All right, Carlos, stop. All right, here we go. Oh, interesting card for you, Carlos. And just type in if it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, or you don't agree with it, or BS, or it is inspiring. I'm just the messenger, so I don't really take it personally anymore. The point of power is always in the present moment. Oh, great message for everybody to remember. We're so good of our ego and our thoughts thinking about what we didn't do in our past and what the future holds. Just remember, 50,000 people around the world every single day do not open their eyes. So the first thing you should do when you open up your eyes today is say thank you, have gratitude. And I only learned that from the podcast I've done. Statistically, around the world, based on sickness, car accident, plane crash, boat accident, whatever it may be, 50,000 souls around the world every single day do not make it in their life, and they pass over into death. So that's interesting. But the point of the power, so it's remember your point of your power is in the present moment. And this is what it says. The past is over and done and has no power over me. I can begin to feel free in this moment. Today's thoughts create my future. I am in charge. I now take my own power back. I am safe and I am free. I'm seeing the Braveheart movie where he yells freedom as he's about to move into death. He's like, freedom. And like I said, quantum physics has shown us that death is an illusion, that death is not the end of the journey, that consciousness and love still continues on past that realm and that portal, if you will. So does that make sense, Carlos? Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Wild Whimsy. Hi, Vicky. Thanks for being here. All right, so we're up to the next question, which was, who was that? Elena, thanks for being here. Thanks for being, I'm seeing all your badges, so thanks for the journey. Thanks for the follow. Make sure to share out the page, y'all, if you feel somebody can get something from this. Carlos says, thank you, so true. Yeah, isn't it? It's something, it's a reminder to me as I give you the card for what your inspiration is today. It's a reminder to me to be like, just be present. Eckhart Tolle talks about the present moment all the time. If you don't know who Eckhart Tolle is, I suggest you follow him. The Power of Now is huge, great book. He's got 2 of them, The Power of Now and I'm drawing a blank on the second one. Even the book I'm currently reading by Thich Nhat Hanh, The Art of Living, great book, great read. Another great read if you want to read it, Reflections from Best American Psychics, one of the directories I'm a part of on our psychic experiences. I talk about my own experiences here, and hopefully to turn this first published book into many now that I'm semi-retired with the end of my federal career from this life-changing surgery. Again, transformation, ascension. Sometimes you just got to go with the flow of life. You can't control, the outcome, even though we want to. Hi, Adriana. How are you? Hey, Zeus. Paisano? Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. So thanks for being here anyways. So, all right. So, Elena, you know the drill. What card would you like? What deck? Or you can pick a book number too. If you want a page out of a book, pages 3 through 25. I'll use this book today as well as kind of a resource. Go page 2 through page. This goes for anybody else through 206. Let's do Star Wars book today. Why not? You can pick 2 of the Star Wars books. I got 2 of them here. Jedi Mind, Me More Yoda. You just tell me to pick a page out of here. So we'll do those. Kind of just being fun and creative. So which one would you like? Elena would like deck number 6. So that is going to be, oh, interesting. All right. So the numerology deck. So again, same thing. Hi, Adriana. Good to see you as well. Adriana, you need a color card? You want a card for today, or do you want a color card? I'm happy to do that. All right. So Elena, type stop when you hear the word stop in your mind. Pound it out on the keyboard, and that's a card I'll pick for you from the numerology deck, which I love numerology. The study of numerology is about 11,000 years old, that we can, as far back as we can date, and numbers always play a part. It's the cousin to music. Stop. There you go. Numerology is the cousin to music, and we all Abide by time, don't we? That's why we wear these on our wrists, right? We're the only species that measure life by time. So here's your card for today based on numerology. I'll explain the 41 here in a second. So self-discipline. The color orange is usually based on the lower chakras between the root, base, and solar plexus. It's kind of got a little bit of yellow in there. You can kind of see the yellow and the orange. I don't know if it's coming through on the video. But the self-discipline is to work on thyself. And the 4 and the 1 are two things. The 4 is creative, hard, expressive work. The 1 is independence on the 41 from a numerology standpoint. 4 plus 1 equals 5. 5 is all about if you do these two things and you have self-discipline for the journey of this next weekend or until we meet again. The 5 energy of 4 plus 1 is all about freedom, love, adventure. It's a very just feeling loose, feeling free, feeling flow. That's what this card represents if you apply a little bit of self-discipline to your journey. Make sense? Hi, Kathleen. Hi, Nancy. Good to see you. Jillian, hello to you. Annie, hello to you. There's a lot of people coming on. Hi, Zara. Good to see you. Trisha, Shauna Campbell, hello to you. Adriana, do you want a color card or do you want something else? The decks today are 1 through 14, or you can pick a passage out of a book. Be More Yoda, Jedi Mind, The Art of Living, or I've got another one called You Were Not Born to Suffer, all great references. And it's a great way to get a message back based on me being the messenger. Again, no opinion, no, it is what it is. Yes, makes sense, Elena. Okay, good. Hi, Amy. Good to see you. Hi, Annie. Jillian is watching. All right, so any other questions? Zoom room is open. The Zoom link is on deck number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, you get a crystal card today. This is the crystal deck. So again, if you're watching, quantum level connection. Hi, Otis. Good to see you, my friend. I'm back after being out for almost 8 weeks. All right. So when you hear the word stop in your mind, Adriana, go ahead and type it on the keyboard, pound it out, hit enter. And that's a card that we will pick once I see the stop come through. Because what we're doing is we're using your energy, we're using your intention, we're using your choice and your free will on the quantum level in a digital aspect. So this is for Adriana. She usually gets a color card, but she picked deck number 5, so she's getting a crystal card today. You're welcome, Tara. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback, because sometimes I'm like, am I really even making a difference? Hi, Stacy Ann. All right, Agent, stop. There it is. All right. This is an interesting crystal card. Let's talk about this real quick. Again, if you have a question, go ahead and type it in. I'm working with my subscribers, Patreon, Diamonds Hub, or you have a badge next to your name. That gives you priority. But look at this, Adrian. This looks like a pill, doesn't it? Like a something you would take. So this is called the Shiva Lingam. Lingam, Lingam. I hope I'm saying that right. Or maybe it's pronounced Lingam. Shiva Lingam. What is it? The Shiva Lingams, also known as Bona Lingas, are phallus-shaped stones found in the bed of the Narmada River in India. Oh, you know what? I think these are the stones. You know what I think about? Have you ever seen the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom when they do the stones? I think that's what these are. That's pretty cool. What they are is they are phallus-shaped stones found in the bed of the Narmada River in India. In Hinduism, they can represent an embodiment of the god Shiva, destroyer of illusion and transformation or transformer. Who needs it? Yoga people and people. That's funny. Yoga people who hate yoga. Where to put it? Wherever you seek enlightenment, meditation cushion, concentrate on your breath, possibly chanting when to use it. When your ego has you feeling so too small or totally supersized, when it seems like you're sucking life force through a swizzle stick instead of a baba straw, when you've got baby making on your mind. So down below it says go all in on your essence. So that's how it's. I've never pulled this card before, to be honest with you, but now that I read it for you, Adriana, and now that I see it, it is one of the stones in Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom, where they lose the stones. They put the 3 stones together, if you've seen it, and they would light up. So the Shiva stones. Interesting. Fascinating card. See, I learn something new every day, and I've been doing this for a while. So Adriana, I hope that makes sense for you. Go get a Shiva stone from India. So again, we're doing readings today. I'm going to do a few more minutes, about 8 more minutes until noon. That would put me on for 2 hours. And then this show will be over on my YouTube channel. So if you've not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel and joined almost the 17,000 prospectors, make sure to get the link here, or I can actually, what I'll do is I'll put it in the comments section as well as my Patreon. So I'll do this. You can go to my store subscribe page, get on my newsletter if you want. I'm back, y'all. I've been off grid for a little bit, but I'm back. All right. So let's see here. Odith, how are you? May I get a card, please? Yes, Odith. Good to be back as well. Hi, Brandy Olson, Angel Steinman. Hello to you, Odith. If you want a deck, give me number 1 through 14. I'm being more specific with you because we're working them digitally at the quantum level, and so this is your way to use your own free will and your own choice. So I'm going to go ahead and put the link into my page if you want to get on my page, if you want to get on the YouTube, if you want to get some lavender love, if you want to become a Patreon prospector. Put those links in for anybody that would like to join me on the journey of prospecting. So that's my YouTube channel. Like I said, I don't know what happened, but my YouTube channel is gonna hit 17,000 probably by the middle of June somehow. Don't know how, but I'm very grateful and very appreciative. I'll give you the Diamond Sub, $4.99 a month, pretty cheap, less than a cup of coffee. And I will give you the Patreon page. You can follow me on Insight Timer too. I'm hopefully going to do some new sound baths. Hopefully, you can ask if you're on Alexa or Echo. You can say, Alexa, open up Inspired Living podcast. That will play the latest podcast on scalar energy that we did last week. Fascinating topic. And you can get the podcast now wherever you listen to your podcast. We're streaming on all channels. Or you can ask your Alexa to open up Positive Living and get spiritual tips from me if you're interested in that. Okay. So let's do, bear with me here. I'm looking off the camera. I'm looking off my phone here, so give me a second. I'll be right back. All right, so there we go. Patreon Prospector, Facebook. Oh, I already did that one. 7, please. Okay, we'll get you number 7. Patreon. There we go. I did the link twice. Sorry about that. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we got the Rumi deck. This is for Odith. Just back up to the chats here. So please hold on before you type in stop. I want to do one more link for my Patreon page. Maybe it's taking its time. Look at a song that's grateful, probably grateful. All right, taking a second to load. All right, so while I'm waiting for that to load, Odith, when you're ready, nice deep breath. Reach out, see the deck. Here's the deck. This is a Rumi deck. I love this deck. There's some really good insight and information. Oh, wait, yeah, Patreon's being slow. All right, nice deep breath. When you hear the word stop, Odith, type it out, punch it out on your keyboard. Hi, Blanca. Hi, Melanie. And I'm just shuffling on my end. And what we're doing is we're working collectively at the quantum level based on your energy, your free will, and your choices. So once I hear stop from Odith, I will pull that card for her. Hi, Tina. Again, if you want to come in live to the Zoom room, the link is up above. If any of my team members are on, if you can grab that link for anybody that's requesting it, maybe I'm not seeing it. That's where I only do mediumship is through the Zoom room because I need your voice. Yes, no, I'm not sure, or I can't remember. That's how mediumship has to work. I need the vocal interactions as you as a sitter. That's why I used to do it early on at the very beginning when I started this a couple years ago. I tried to do it through the chat comment section. It was horrible. It was horrendous. So Zoom room is open. Stop. All right. Thank you, Odith. So I'm also asking you to comment to stop. That tells me that you're still on, that you're still participating and still watching and still prospecting. So here's the card. Kind of an artistic, kind of reminds me of like a who's the famous a Van Gogh. This kind of reminds me of a Van Gogh painting. But what it says is it's called Blessings of All Hakim. And it says this: sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. Now, what does that mean? So, Al Hakim is wisdom, which is called also known as soul medicine. You no longer have to drive the unfoldment of your desires into form. You rest in the assurance that your daily application and effort are enough, and so is your surrender. Mental anguish is now soothed. Divine healing can occur most readily in the unknowing yet, trusting spaciousness of your open heart. So look up Al Hakim. That's what it looks like. Al Hakim, blessings of Al Hakim. Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. Oh, that's a great card for today. And again, trust your spaciousness of your open heart. Healing can occur most readily in the unknowing yet trusting spaciousness of your open heart. So there you go, my friend. Does that make sense? All right. And once I'm back up and fully running after vacation, of course, and all my incisions are healed, I might start doing some mediumship nights again. I was doing that with mediumship and connecting to your loved ones. So remember, as a medium, reconnect to loved ones of people who lived life and passed through death. I believe in angels. I believe in your higher selves, your spirit guides, the ascended masters, whatever that may be, but I don't connect to them. It's literally connected to the essence of someone who lived and passed away. So we do that on Fridays, but you have to come into the Zoom room either by phone or video. It helps. I have to hear you. It helps if I can see you as well. It helps me just see the auric field. Helps me see and also open that connection and that respect and humility and gratitude to let that spirit person come forward to me as a medium, because most of the time they don't even know who I am, so they're meeting me for the first time as a medium, as a communicator. And I always have to put the caveat: it's based on them coming to me, not me going to them and insisting. It's based on free will. It's based on your free will and choice as well. Open to receive, and not the guarantee of who's going to come through, because again, I've learned in doing this long enough, it's not what you want, it's what you need. And sometimes we may not get the connection. That happens from time to time too. It's maybe I'm not in the right space. Maybe I'm not, my energy is not vibrating the correct way, or maybe I'm in pain, right? So that's why I've been doing a lot of readings right now, because I'm trying to heal the physical body. But boy, what a spiritual transformation it's been the last 6 to 8 weeks. So, all right. So hi, Sandra Page. Hi, Julie. Hi, Lola. Hi, Chuck Perks. Hello to you. All right. Janice Shaw, Nancy Bernard. Hello to you. Christina Motes Weimer is watching. Hello to you. All right. Did that card make sense for you, Oda? Again, it doesn't. I don't make things fit. If it doesn't make sense, I won't take it personally if it doesn't fit. Or you're like, I don't understand it at the time, because I've learned in doing this now for a while, just because you get the message right now and it has no value, it has no reverence, it doesn't make sense, that's okay, because I've learned that some of the best evidence comes after the reading, after the connection, after the delivery. So what may not make sense right now may make sense tomorrow, a week, a month. I've actually had people come back to me even a year later to say, Mark, you won't believe what happened, but you said this at a reading that I did 2 years ago. And I'll be like, I have no idea what I said. You have the recording, you'll remember, and people remember what I say, but I don't remember what I say. They'll be like, this is what you said would happen, and it happened. It unfolded, but it was when the timing was right. It was when you were ready to receive that as well. So just because you receive it today and it doesn't make sense, I've learned that it may make more sense down the road. So again, so here's my Patreon page. If you want to get on the Patreon page, and you'll join about 16 people right now. That if you can choose the membership for free. You can choose the tiers to what you want to do with me and prospect every month. And just remember, if you're on the Patreon and you sign up for free, you're not going to get all the accesses. I don't give access to all the free just because you're on there for free. But you will have access. Not the free account, but if you're a Patreon subscriber, so you're paying or you're subscribing to my Diamond Sub next week, remember next Friday, first Friday of every month is open via Zoom room at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Those Zoom links are at the top of each of the Patreon page and the Diamond Sub subscribers page, and I'll do a reminder, but you can always get those links there. So, all righty. So, any other questions? Hi, Heidi. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Just remember, if you go to my store too, I also have a 20% discount on cool shirts that you can get. Cool shirts that I wear, the Lavender Love that my next batch of lavender is actually growing. I'm going to be pulling some of it to make some of my lavender love. And there's also on the store, you can get the book. Oh, I pointed to it like it was right there. You can get the book, this book, In Between Worlds Reflections. It's been rated on Amazon as a top book now, so that's kind of cool. You can pick a card, you can pick a book. I got 4 books here you can pick from. And then also on my store, you can also get, if you're into plant medicine, I sell a lot now of the calm, focus, creams, all hemp infused. So not marijuana, you don't get high from it, but it does have the hemp plant, which I've done a lot of research on. And there's over 50,000 different uses for the hemp plant, and the hemp battle to make it legal is continuing to move ahead. In fact, they're declassifying it from a Schedule 1, that the getting high marijuana. This doesn't get you high. This is all legal in all 50 states, Canada, Mexico. This is called calm, but there are links if you want to purchase. There's gummies to help you sleep. There's a lip balm, all made with the hemp plant. The hemp plant is usually the lower half of the hemp plant, the roots, the stem. The upper part is usually where your marijuana is made. So there's a big difference, and there's a lot of ignorance to the hemp industry and how the hemp works. Again, one of the only plants I know that you can stick in contaminated soil and it actually cleans the soil. So I'm going to take a little bit. Put it on your tongue, just helps with calm. If you have anxiety, if you're looking for focus, these are all things that you can use to help increase your vibration, your connection. Hi, Cynthia. All right. My grandma just passed last Thursday, and that makes things look different. The card makes total sense. Good, Otis. Well, my condolences on your grandma's passing, but remember now, she's home. She's only ever a thought away. She's closer to you now than she ever has been in the decarnated stage, even though you're still in the carnate physical stage. So if you want to have a connection with her, just ask, believe, receive, perceive, take those breaths, and watch some of the stuff unfold. It's pretty cool, pretty magical, pretty divine. But my condolences, because I do know loss to a great depth. I always say I was once a student of severe loss and tragedy. Now I'm a teacher of hope and healing. But still, my condolences nonetheless, because it's still the physical pain of losing somebody. All right, Dave Morgan, hello to you. Any other questions? All right, I'm a little bit over. It's past noon. If we're not going to get any more questions or anybody in the Zoom room, I'm going to go call it a day. I got stuff to do. I got to get packed for vacation. Remember, when I say get packed, it takes me a little bit longer because I don't move as fast as I used to with this surgery until I'm fully recovered, which won't probably be until August or September. But I'm back, baby. All right, any other questions? If not, last call. I'll cue up a song. Again, if you want to learn more about me, you can visit me here at marklainhart.com. Happy to work with you, happy to journey with you and help you in whatever way I can. Meditation, mediumship, psychic, spiritualism, intuition, life coaching, whatever that may be. That's what the Intuitive Prospector is all about. And I got bumped. All right, Zira. So put your bump. So if you got bumped, again, sometimes the algorithms of Facebook can be clunky. Put star bump, list your question out again, because there's no way I'm going to be able to scroll through and find all of your original comments. So don't take it personally. We just sometimes miss it or I don't see it. So star bump and then ask your question again so we don't have to try to go find it. Hi, Marilyn. Hi, Deborah. May I get a card for today, please? Your choice. Okay, my choice. Okay, dealer's choice. All right. I love the one of my newest decks added to the collection is called Flower Sentience. So I don't know if you like flowers, Zira, but what I want you to do is, again, work through the digital aspect, work through the quantum aspect. When you hear the word stop in your mind, type it on the keyboard and hit enter, and that's a card I'll pick for you. So what I'm doing is I'm shuffling now. This is based on your free will, based on your choice, based on your intent. Hi, Melanie. Hi, Trish. This is for Zara Gomez Becerra. Again, I apologize if I say your name wrong. Just waiting for the stop. Working digitally in the metaverse. Stop. Okay, here's your card. Working on the quantum level. This is how, again, what the future holds, you guys, is so fascinating to what we're going to be able to accomplish and what we're going to start to achieve. Literally, where science fictions become science fact. We're going to be talking about holograms next. AIs, I've already been doing a lot of research on AI, the robotics aspect. What was done to me was done with robots and 3D printed titanium now that's in my low back. Something that wasn't seen even just 5 to 7 years ago. And that's, my recovery time is literally cut in half. So there's going to be some cool stuff of how we continue to quantumly connect at the quantum level. So this is called the bachelor's button. This is for Zara. And again, sorry I missed your original question. Hi Elizabeth. Hi Nicole. Hi Christina. This is a flower, and it's a very special variety of corn flower, and it's huge. It's a huge symbol of social liberalism in Europe. It is associated with the armistice on the 11th of November. Ooh, so this is 1918. So that would be World War One, and so became a symbol for veterans of that conflict. It therefore brings memory of loved ones whose lives were lost during conflict. So, Zara, have you lost a loved one through conflict or through war or through tragedy, or because what this bachelor's button is doing is triggering your mindset to think on them, and that's how they work. They don't, it's not a big booming voice from the sky. As a medium, I don't, you can see the spirit world one of two ways: objectively, where you see them and they're talking to you, with you're hearing them, you're seeing them, I see them objectively, or subjectively, of what they do through my clairvoyance or my clairsentience, of the tools that I've developed over the years. That's the two ways that mediumship works. But what it does, regardless, you either see them or you hear them in your mind. That's them talking to you through the power of thought. And so it's one of the most important qualities, is that this symbolizes always having your daily bread, indicating prosperity, good fortune, wealth, and strong supportive friendships. The cornflower genius also associates itself with delicacy and refinement, old-fashioned qualities, but sometimes still needed for the situations in life. So this is the bachelor's button. The number on it is a 38. So the 3 is about creative, expressive energy. The 8 is about manifesting. And then 8, 9, 10, 11. 8 plus 3 is 11. The 11 is about a spiritual teaching moment. That's what those numbers represent in numerology. But it's a cool card. Isn't that a cool deck? It's my newest deck. I just got it when I was at the college in England in December, before my surgery. So, and this was given to me by a colleague. So it was really nice. They've seen my show and they know that I work with different decks. And I love different decks. So if you have a deck, I hope to have a diamonds deck that I can create now that I'm semi-retired. But if you have a deck, you want to send it to me, I'll use it live on the show. So no problem at all. Not that I know of. I lost uncle and grandma to cancer. Okay, so it doesn't, just because I said from war, it doesn't have to fit that narrative. I was just using that as an example because that's what that bedroom, that's what this card represents, is called the bachelor's button. But what it did is it made you think of your grandma and your uncle based on cancer. So to see how that worked, this triggered, even though they may have not been lost from war, but it triggered you to think of your grandma and your uncle based on cancer. So that's their way of connection to you. You can grow that connection. I don't believe personally, from my studies and my education, my experiences, that you have to be born to do this. Now, it does run in my family. I learned that later on in life. But I believe the spirit world is intelligent enough and open enough. If you want to, develop this and go down this path to have more broader downloads and communications and connecting to your loved ones, whether it's your friends, family, or fur babies, do it. I think that can open the door. Nothing evil, nothing scary. Again, what we fear, what we don't understand, usually leads us to fear based on our religious, our learned behaviors, how our parents raised us, what we've seen in a Hollywood movie. Don't go down that road. It's not even anywhere close to that. So 11 makes total sense, Adriana. Okay. It makes sense. Thank you. You're welcome, Zara. Sorry we missed you. Again, we get a lot of comments going, and we'll say hi to your grandma and your uncle. They passed from cancer, but they're very much alive. They're probably more alive now than they ever were, and they're only ever just a thought away and very close to you. Hey, Tommy, how are you, my friend? Hey, Bert, good to see you. Is that a UW? Bert Allen, is that UW, baby? That's my alumni right there. It looks like a UW, your profile picture. Dubs up, go dogs. That's where I actually got I did my graduate studies in sports medicine and human performance at the U. So, all right. Any other questions? Nobody in the Zoom room today. Nobody want to talk to me live. Don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed. We have fun. All right. Hi, Maria. Again, thank you to my team for managing and keeping the comments clean, keeping the community positive and inspiring and uplifting. We don't try to get into any rants or belittle anybody or political shit, any of that. Even though today I was talking about religion versus spiritualism, there is a big difference. If you didn't catch it, go back and check this show out, and this will be on my YouTube channel within the next few weeks here. So hi Katie, good to see you. All right, last call. If you want a question, if you have a question, ask it right now. Otherwise, I'm going to start queuing up to shut us down. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. And I can only sit for so long. Before the surgery, I could only sit for maybe 20 minutes. I've been going 2 hours, so I'm doing pretty good with my healing. So, but I'm getting a little sore because the incisions on my low back, they're right where you like sit on a cushion. So it's like, so I need to go ice. All right. Well, thanks for everybody. Thanks for the connections and the questions today. And I hope that I always try what I say in my podcast: be inspired, inspire others, inspire before we expire. And most importantly, wherever you're out in the world, be kind, be caring, be compassionate to one another. And for me, as my tagline in the Intuitive Prospector: dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live, and discover the diamond within, and discover the many diamonds all around us. So we'll cue up a good song to take us home. I think we're going to do Grateful. All right. Hi, Deb. Well, two Deb Allison and Deb Senway. Hello to you. Elizabeth. Hello to you, Taurus. All right. No other questions coming in. So I will shut us down. Again, thank you to the team for today. I'll hopefully connect with you in Mexico. Feel better. Thanks to you, Christine. Hi, Jillian. Appreciate that, Christine. Yeah, I am feeling much, much better. And I'll be feeling even better next week when I'm sitting under that Mexican Cabo sun and hearing the Sea of Cortez come in and just soaking in that fresh air and really healing up. So, hi, Don. All right. So, let me cue up the song. Have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. Remember, be flexible like Gumby. Let shit go that's not serving your higher path. And we'll see you next time here on Metaphysical Meetup with Marc, here live on the Intuitive Prospector page. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Namaste.
Grateful for all the things I've seen, grateful for all the lost blessings. Grateful, yeah, grateful. Grateful, yeah, I'm grateful, I'm grateful. I ain't got no reason to be hateful. Hair and nails paid for. I'm so thankful. Put you through some things